Imagine enduring a storm so fierce it feels like life itself is conspiring against you. In just 1 week, Fat Joe faced an unimaginable cascade of loss. His sister passed, his grandfather followed, and the world said goodbye to Big Pun. All within 7 days. But the heartbreak didn't stop there. Over the next 12 months, 6 of his closest friends succumbed to heart attacks. For 2 years, Joe carried that weight alone, sinking into a dark mental abyss, leaning on psychiatric help just to navigate the relentless grief. Yet, despite all this, Fat Joe emerged alive, a testament to sheer resilience. To truly understand why his survival feels miraculous, you need to know where he came from. Born Joseph Antonio Cartagena on August 19, 1970, in the South Bronx, Joe's early life was nothing short of a war zone. Growing up in the Maracena projects, he experienced a childhood defined by survival. Crack cocaine devastated communities, gunshots echoed in the streets, and urban decay wasn't just visible, it was a constant threat. Raised by Puerto Rican and Cuban parents in a neighborhood where tomorrow is never guaranteed, Joe learned early that life was fragile, and every day was a battle, but no street lessons or years of hustling could prepare him for the year 2000, a year he describes as a perfect storm of grief. That February, Christopher Rios, famously known as Big Pun, died at just 28 from a heart attack. Big Pun wasn't merely an artist under Joe's wing or a member of Terror Squad. He was family, a brother from another mother, a confidant, and a soul mate in their shared journey. Pun's massive size, nearly 700 pounds, had taken a brutal toll on his heart, and when he collapsed at a White Plains hotel, the paramedics couldn't save him. For Fat Joe, losing Pun wasn't just losing a friend. It was losing a piece of himself amidst a world already drenched in sorrow. In that moment, the South Bronx survivor faced the ultimate test. Not the streets, not the poverty, not the hustling, but the sheer human weight of grief. And yet, here he stands, still breathing, still creating, still inspiring. A living reminder that even the fiercest storms can be weathered. Fat Joe lost more than friends. He lost pieces of his very soul. But the pain didn't stop there. Within that harrowing stretch, his sister tragically died from complications during childbirth after slipping into a coma following an epidural, and shortly after, his grandfather passed away. 3 funerals in weeks. 3 devastating blows that sent Joe spiraling into a darkness he could barely escape. The depression that followed wasn't just sadness or mourning, it was a mental prison. Fat Joe compares it to trying to solve the most impossible Rubik's Cube inside his own head. Every day became a war against his thoughts. Even fleeting moments of potential happiness were sabotaged by his brain whispering, "You're not supposed to feel joy." And everywhere he turned, the world reminded him of his loss. Fans, interviews, even casual conversations triggered fresh waves of grief. As Joe put it, "Everybody keeps coming up to me, sorry for your loss," not realizing they're reopening the wound every single time. The toll wasn't just emotional, it became physical. Stress eating and drinking to cope, Joe's weight skyrocketed. At his heaviest, he tipped the scales at around 470 pounds, dangerously close to the fate that claimed his best friend, Big Pun. His diabetes, diagnosed at just 11 or 12, spiraled out of control. He was barreling toward the same heart-related death that had stolen Pun from him, yet what crushed him most wasn't just grief, it was guilt. Survivor's guilt gnawed at him. At Pun's funeral, staring at the late rapper's young daughter, his own daughter's age, Joe felt like he was staring at his own demise. Depression twisted reality. Sunny days felt like night, and he would sit in an empty bathtub staring at the ceiling for hours, trapped in a suffocating mental cell. Despite never contemplating suicide, he still enjoyed simple pleasures like a good steak with rice and beans. He was dying inside, slowly and painfully. Salvation came in stages. Therapy became his lifeline. For 2 years, he faced his demons head-on, learning to identify his triggers and pursue joy deliberately instead of sinking into despair. He began rediscovering happiness in everyday moments, revisiting his childhood home in the Bronx, watching a movie like John Wick 4, or even flipping through CNN. But the wake-up call came unexpectedly. While walking past a mural of Big Pun in the Bronx, he overheard two strangers talking, and something clicked. Through grief, guilt, and near self-destruction, Fat Joe found a path back to life. He survived not just by enduring loss, but by learning to live despite it. One small step, one conscious choice, one joyful moment at a time. 2 years. Those words echoed in Fat Joe's mind like a relentless alarm. 2 years spent drowning in grief, trapped in the shadow of loss. 2 years lost. It was time to wake up. Time to honor Big Pun, not by following him to an early grave, but by living, really living. The wake-up call came unexpectedly. While watching a Big Pun mural go up in the Bronx, shout out to the TAC crew, Joe overheard two passers-by talking. One said, "Yo, they doing the Big Pun wall?" The other replied, "What?" The first responded, "Yeah, they do it all the time. It's been 2 years since he died." And something in Joe clicked. 2 years. 2 years. 2 years. That repetition snapped him out of the fog. It's time, bro, time to wake up. But grief doesn't just vanish. It transforms. For Joe, it migrated from the heart to the body, from sorrow to self-destruction. If the year 2000 was his plunge into darkness, the years after became a grueling climb back toward light. And make no mistake, this wasn't a fairy tale turnaround with a tidy ending. This was a brutal, years-long battle against his own body, his own mind, and the terrifying realization that if he didn't change, he was headed for the same fate as Pun. The numbers paint the stark reality. At his peak, Joe weighed between 470 and 480 pounds, carrying what he described as the weight of 3 human beings on his frame. Some accounts suggest he may have even approached 500 pounds. For context, Big Pun had tipped the scales at 698 pounds when he died at just 28. Joe's body was a ticking time bomb, but it wasn't vanity or a doctor's warning that finally forced change. It was death itself. 6 friends, gone in a single year, all from heart attacks. These weren't elderly men or obviously sick. They were his peers, healthy men who joked and laughed one day, and were gone the next. One funeral in particular pierced him to the core. Watching his friend's daughter, the same age as his own, stand over her father's casket, Joe experienced a chilling vision of his own future, a premature funeral and his own child mourning him. It was a moment of clarity. He realized, as he told interviewers, that despite money, fame, and admiration, rappers are not superheroes. They're human, fragile, and mortal. Big Pun's death in 2000 had been the first alarm. These 6 friends, his peak weight, and the stark recognition of mortality were the wake-up calls that finally forced Fat Joe to confront the hard truth. To survive, he had to change everything. The deaths of his friends from heart attacks were just the beginning of the wake-up calls. Joe also had to confront a lifelong battle. Type 2 diabetes, diagnosed in childhood, spiraling dangerously out of control. His family's traditional Latin American diet, lard, whole milk, and high-calorie staples like rice, beans, and fried foods, had shaped both his body and his early-onset diabetes, setting him up for decades of struggles with weight. After Big Pun's death, Joe tried to take control. He lost about 100 pounds on a diet, but it was more of a temporary patch than a long-term solution. His weight would bounce around 350 to 360 pounds. Then reality hit harder. 6 friends gone to heart attacks in a single year. That was the catalyst. Joe realized he needed more than a diet. He needed a complete lifestyle overhaul. What followed was a painstaking 15-plus-year journey to lose over 200 pounds. This wasn't some celebrity crash diet. It was methodical, scientific, and deeply personal. Joe learned to see his body like a finely tuned computer, understanding how it processed different nutrients. He cut out bread, pasta, and rice, the foods that had defined his upbringing, and swapped them for healthier alternatives: zucchini noodles instead of spaghetti, sugar substitutes in mashed sweet potatoes, and strict portion control. Exercise followed the same principle of gradualism. Joe started with just 10-minute sessions on the elliptical, earning him the nickname Elliptical King from his manager. Over time, He built up to 45-minute sessions, added biking around Miami, and focused on sustainable routines, avoiding rigid trainers or intimidating gym schedules that could lead to burnout or injury. As he explained, it's about baby steps. You don't need to throw the biggest weights on you. Cardio walking, the elliptical, that's enough to get started. Before you know it, your body adapts. The results were transformative, but gradual. By 2011, Joe had lost enough weight to eliminate his insulin shots entirely, a milestone he celebrated in his track Drop a Body. By the early 2020s, he had shed over 200 pounds, dropping from 470 pounds to around 255. More recently, he incorporated Ozempic, a GLP-1 agonist for type 2 diabetes, praising it as a game-changer for appetite control and maintaining his progress. Yet the journey wasn't just physical, it was deeply intertwined with his mental recovery. The depression that followed Big Pun's death and his personal losses had been fueled in part by emotional eating and weight gain. As Joe reclaimed his body, he also regained mental clarity and emotional balance. Therapy, sobriety, and mindfulness around his mental triggers became pillars of his transformation, and even after this dramatic shift, he kept his stage name, Fat Joe. Why? To inspire others. He wanted to show that he had been big, to demonstrate that weight loss and transformation were possible, and to remind fans that real change comes from perseverance, discipline, and self-love. At this point, even the name Fat Joe had taken on a new meaning. "I feel like I need to call you Lil Joe," someone joked, marveling at his transformation. Joe laughed, but he explained why he hadn't changed it. "I left the name Fat Joe because I want to inspire people, to remind them how big I was, and that if I could lose the weight, they could too." The name wasn't a joke anymore. It had become a badge of survival, a living reminder of the battle he had fought and won. Now, at 55, Joe takes his health seriously. He monitors his blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar every 3 months. Through lifestyle changes, his type 2 diabetes is in a remission-like state. He remains vigilant, viewing his health journey as a way to pay it forward, grateful for surviving where so many of his friends didn't. But even triumph comes with complications. In July 2025, Joe revealed a shocking habit: drinking 30 to 40 cans of Diet Pepsi per day. He admitted it was a problem, though doctors haven't explicitly stopped him. Health experts worry about the risks, including liver fat, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and stroke, even without sugar. This extreme Diet Pepsi habit reflects a larger truth about Joe's journey. Even in transformation, struggles never truly end. He swapped one vice for another, trading sugar and calories for massive amounts of artificial sweeteners. Recovery, he learned, isn't linear. It's messy, complicated, and ongoing. Even after shedding the pounds and regaining control, life kept delivering blows. The losses that began with Big Pun's death in 2000 didn't stop. Throughout the 2000s, 2010s, and into the 2020s, Joe continued to lose people he loved, each death reopening old wounds and leaving new scars. In 2012, Joe faced another devastating loss. His longtime friend and former manager, Chris Lighty, died by suicide at 44. Lighty was more than a manager. He had saved Joe's life, steering him away from the streets and helping him secure his first major record deal through Violator management. He had wealth, respect, and influence, yet depression still consumed him. When he passed, it shattered Joe. Lighty's death was a grim reminder that mental illness doesn't discriminate. Success, money, or fame doesn't make anyone immune. For Joe, it reinforced a hard truth. Surviving one storm doesn't mean the battles are over. The fight is ongoing, and resilience is measured by how you carry on, even when grief and loss keep coming. Even when life seems stable, depression could return like a shadow, ready to strike at any moment. Chris Lighty's death had ripple effects beyond grief. It ended Joe's long-standing beef with 50 Cent. At the 2012 BET Hip Hop Awards tribute to Lighty, Joe and 50 Cent shook hands on stage. "This is for Chris Lighty. I owe Chris Lighty everything," Joe said. Lighty's passing became a final gift, proving that even in death, he was still looking out for the people he loved. But Fat Joe's story isn't just about personal losses, it's also a life marked by violence, legal battles, and brushes with death that could fill multiple lifetimes. The streets never let him rest. In the mid-2000s, Joe survived being shot multiple times by a debtor during a 4th of July gathering. Luck, or divine intervention, kept him alive, and he refused to cooperate with the police, adhering to the street code of no snitching. In 2007, Joe was named as a potential witness to a double murder in Miami during Memorial Day weekend, where Leslie Paz, 25, and Joey Navarro, 26, were gunned down outside David's Cafe 2 in South Beach. Authorities initially thought Joe had been in the same car as the victims. His attorney denied it, and he was never charged, but the incident added yet another layer to the cloud of violence that has trailed him throughout his career. Legal troubles have also followed him relentlessly. In 2013, Joe served 4 months in federal prison for tax evasion. From 2007 to 2010, roughly $3 million in taxes went unpaid, not because of negligence, but because his accountant embezzled the money he had sent to cover it. Joe ended up on the hook for over $1.2 million in back taxes plus penalties. I had an accountant. Every month, I'm sending them wire transfers, $25,000, $40,000, big money. I was trying to pay my taxes, and it got stolen. I had to call Pitbull, and he gave me his accountant. That's still my accountant to this day, Joe recalled. Despite paying everything back before sentencing, he still had to serve time, a bitter reminder of betrayal at a moment when he was already under pressure. Adding to the strain, Joe faced ongoing royalty disputes with Big Pun's widow, Liza Rios. In 2014, she sued him for allegedly withholding over $2 million in royalties owed to Big Pun's estate. The case settled in 2016 for an undisclosed sum exceeding $2 million, but it damaged Joe's relationship with Rios and cast a shadow over his legacy as Pun's mentor, and the legal battles haven't stopped. In June 2025, Joe faced a staggering $20 million lawsuit from his former hype man, Terrence T.A. Dixon, who filed a 157-page federal complaint accusing Joe of trafficking, fraud, coercion, and labor exploitation spanning 16 years. The suit alleges over 4,000 coerced acts and even claims Dixon witnessed Joe with underage girls. Fat Joe's life, in short, is a study in contrasts, triumph and survival, loss and grief, fame and the constant threat of danger. Every victory is layered with struggle, and every milestone carries the weight of the storms he has endured. Fat Joe has survived more loss and hardship than most can imagine. From losing siblings, close friends, and mentors to battling depression, obesity, and type 2 diabetes, his life has been a constant fight. He faced violence, legal battles, and personal betrayals, yet continued making music and advocating for mental health in Black and Latino communities. Despite unhealthy habits like excessive Diet Pepsi consumption, he maintains his weight loss and health vigilance. Survival for Joe isn't glamorous. It's carrying grief, guilt, and trauma while moving forward. His ultimate victory is living to inspire others, showing resilience, strength, and hope through every challenge.